All right, welcome to this Thursday night edition of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. This is Steve Ray coming to you live from Ooltewah, Tennessee, high above White Oak Mountain in the studios of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. We got a great show lined up. Let me see if I can do this real quick, fellas. We're brought to you by Michelin tires, from Michelin Defender LTX to the Michelin MX-V4. Michelin tires have a tire for your car, truck, or SUV. Don't let your family ride on anything else. Buy Michelin tires. 2 more days left in the big Michelin $70 rebate too. See your local retailer for all the details. We're also brought to you by the Butcher Barbecue products, available nationwide and at the Owl's Nest Barbecue store right here in Ooltewah, online, and at other retailers near you, of course. Butcher Barbecue products will put you in the winner's circle at your competition and in your backyard. Trust your butcher, folks. You can follow the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show on Instagram and YouTube. Just look for the Owl's Nest Barbecue logo on all of those venues, and also listen to the podcast on Spotify, Owl's Nest Barbecue podcast on Spotify. And don't forget, we're the broadcast partner of the Owl's Nest, or don't forget, the broadcast partner of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show is Backyard Smokers Barbecue Facebook page. Go to Facebook, go to Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook for all the answers and information on grilling, smoking, and all things live fire and backyard. Share information and get info on Backyard Smokers Barbecue Facebook page. The broadcast partner of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. I tell you what, I'm having a hard time. I'm having such a hard time talking today because I've been mowing the grass. I've been telling people at my retail business that it's going to be okay, that the coronavirus isn't going to live forever. That, yes, I will be open. They will be able to buy gasoline. They will be able to buy groceries. They will be able to get their tires fixed. And they will be able to get their groceries. It's a daunting task. But I've got a good task now, because I'm bringing in my buddies Ken Smith from Nashville and the cookout coach Steve Dotson from West by God, Virginia. Welcome, fellas. How you doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, man, doing great, Steve.
Now, you want to speak up, Steve Dotson? You're talking to people in Tennessee and all over America. Don't be bashful.
Sorry about that. We're doing great up here in the good old Mountain State.
Well, good. That's good. I'm glad to hear it. Ken, how's everybody holding up in Nashville?
Everybody's just keeping their head down, man, right now, and just kind of waiting this thing out. A lot of places closed, but it's, we're going to come back.
Yeah, I was looking at that shot behind you. We were talking earlier.
That's
That's the most famous strip in the at least in the eastern United States. That's South Broadway in Nashville. Tootsie's is there. What else is there? Ken, Tootsie's. What's that?
Tootsie's, Second Fiddle, Honky Tonk Central. Man, all the Lake Shelton's got a place there. Big Red. Man,
Yeah.
just about everybody's got a place there now.
What's that record store that's down there too? Earl Tubb or no?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it? Well, it wasn't Earl Tubbs. It's Leston. Who was it?
No, it's dang, I could have told you. It's Earl Tubbs.
Is it? Okay, his record store, which has been there forever. It's an iconic place.
Yeah.
So it's there too. Steve Dotson, how about up in West Virginia? How's everybody holding up? The last state to get the coronavirus. Go West Virginia. Go West Virginia. Go Mountaineers.
That's right. We are the 2020 COVID National Tournament champions. Everybody's doing. The thing we have up here in West Virginia is our entire state population used to be less than the city of Atlanta. I don't know if that's still true, but we've got just such a sparsed out population that we social distance daily anyways. So we got that. It's doing all right. We're I think we're pretty much leading the nation in percentage. We're like 4% of people that get tested actually have it, so that's really good. But we're all just still kind of hunkering down, trying to do our part.
Well, we're all doing our part. We're all. I know everybody that I know are practicing staying isolated as best we can. I know my gas station's still open, and we'll stay open through this. A lot of places are closed. Of course, all three of us have heard the horror stories about the restaurant business, how we don't know if it'll ever come back or not. So, but we talked about that last week, and I'm sure both of you watched the show intently last week, and we'll have a quiz on that after the show's over, okay? So get your number 2 pencil and your SAT type testing papers together, and we'll go over that. But tonight...
I thought I already passed your test, man, on that last time you asked me the baseball quiz.
Steve, when we did How Smart Are My Guests, Ken, I asked him, now this is the question I asked Ken Smith, and we didn't set this up. I said, who was on deck when Henry Aaron hit number 715 home run back in 1974? And Ken, what was your answer?
Dusty Baker.
And that was correct. I mean, I didn't tell him that's amazing. That's one of those, trivia questions I always win a drink on, Ken. When we're sitting at the bar doing trivia, I always win the last bourbon and Coke on that one. And because that's one everybody should know. Who's already?
That shirt I wear says I grow a beard and I know things.
Yeah, well, you sure do.
You ever seen that?
Yeah, I saw that one, and I know you grew the beard, and now I know you really know things. Okay, guys, we're going to be talking about barbecue tonight, and everybody in the chat room. Jeff, you join right in. Jeff, I'm sorry I forgot to mention my buddy Jeff Maxwell will be moderating the chat tonight, so he'll be there. He'll be answering your questions. So feel free to ask Jeff anything. He can answer for me. We do this on Facebook, and the chat on Facebook is not good, and I can't really see it that well. So Jeff is going to do that for me, and I appreciate that, Jeff Maxwell. And Jeff is going to actually be on the show next week with Wes Phillips from Backyard Smokers Barbecue. So we'll look forward to that. Trying to keep this thing, fellas, a week in advance because we're busy. But we have to be here to take our minds off of the virus in these weird times we're going through, right? All right. Barbecue talk from now on. All right, guys, this is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about our cooks. We're going to be talking about our epic successes, our epic failures, our epic disappointments, and what we have on our barbecue bucket list. Ken, we're going to start with you first. Your most successful barbecue cook.
Let's see. Probably the most successful, man. I mean, I've had several, and I mean 2 or 3 that were really good, but probably the first one that I'd talk about is has to do with you. Whenever I bought that pit barrel cooker from you, man, I had my whole family. My wife's there's 5 brothers and sisters, and they came over with their spouses and kids, and you told me that I could hang 8 racks of ribs in that pit barrel cooker. And I'm like, dude, I don't know, man. But,
Steve, nobody believes me when I tell them that.
Yeah.
Nobody believes me.
I didn't, man. I was like, man, but, I'm going to give it a try. And I was stressed out. And they turned out perfect. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, I put them in there and let it go. And so everybody thought I was a championship cook, man. Just,
well, you are.
Because that pit barrel cooker, man, does a number on the ribs.
But, in all seriousness, when you take a brand new vessel that you never cooked on, and your first cook you do is you load it down with 8 ribs, and everybody's counting on you to be the star of the backyard event, and you've never even cooked on this thing, weren't you? Yeah. Were you a little bit nervous?
Oh yeah, man. Because I started out. I didn't tell y'all the story. I started out, and man, the temperature jumped way up. Because I've been used to doing low and slow.
Yeah.
And that temperature jumped up there like 300 real quick, and I'm like, oh crap, man, what am I going to do now? And it kept, and it varies in there, especially when you first started up. And man, I got the hooks, and I pulled that whole basket of charcoal out and started over again before I put them in there the second time. And then it kind of did it again. So I was like, well, I guess that's the way it goes. So I hung them in there, and they turned out good.
Ken's probably thinking I drove all the way to Ottawa, Tennessee, and this guy sold me a microwave oven.
But no, man, it was, it turned out great. I couldn't complain about that at all.
Steve Dotson, your most successful barbecue cook to date.
Well, what I'm going to call my most successful cook, it was people that know me know I love competition. I've got bit by that bug. And we pulled a GC last year, and that was great and all. But actually, my most successful cook was the last competition of last year. We took fourth place overall. We didn't even. I mean, we got called a few times, but there was a little competition in Withville, Virginia. It's called the Zombie Q, and the pros were struggling to pull enough teams together for a Jack qualifier. They just got the 25 teams right before. Meanwhile, we've been kind of trying to grow the whole backyard movement in the MABA area, the Mid-Atlantic Barbecue Association.
Yeah.
And we ended up with not a ton of teams there, but, I mean, everybody came together. We started some new tradition. We have a 922 shot for the backyards, but it's 922 on Friday night. We just do our own thing. And it was, it started this thing that eventually became a Facebook page where, all the backyard cookers, the competition backyard division cookers can come to. And, one of the problems used to be you weren't sure who was actually having the backyard division at their comps and all that. And we ended up, I mean, we're well over 100 members in that group now with, we've spawned our own internal Team of the Year points chase. It's not associated with our governing
that's cool.
body.
Yeah, that's
We're just
cool.
doing it. Yeah, it wasn't even a stellar cook. I think we took first in pork, third in chicken, and then we got blown out in ribs. It was just not a great day for that. But the fact that we were there, I mean, and if you've been to a competition, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never been, go hang out. Because I tell everybody, it's kind of like a tailgate where everybody likes everybody else and everybody can cook.
That's right.
And so, I mean, it was just, the cook was great from that standpoint. The camaraderie was through the roof. And again, we brought the whole area together with it. It spawned something way bigger than any one of us individually. It's really cool.
I tell people when you go to a barbecue contest, you're hanging around. Everybody wants free barbecue. Everybody's coming. You know how they do. And I tell everybody, I say, find the guy that's in last place. I said, you'll get all the barbecue you want because number one, his barbecue, maybe he may have come in last, but his barbecue is fantastic, and he or she will be so angry that they'll be throwing that food away. And if you get there in just plenty of time, you get there right at the right time, say, hey, before you throw that away, can I have that? And he'll say, absolutely, you can. This tastes like, this is terrible barbecue. And you go, yeah, let me have it. And you'll have some of the best barbecue you've ever had. I promise you that. My most successful cook happened several years ago. We got asked by the local high school band organization to help them raise money for the band. They were going to, I think, I want to say Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. They were going to be in that parade. And I said, sure, what do y'all want to do? They go, we want to sell pork butts. We want to pre-sell butts and charge people, and we'll get them donated and raise money. I said, okay. I said, how many you want to cook? I said, well, we've already got 120 pre-sold. And I went, holy mackerel. My buddy Dan Grease and Frank and I, we were pretty good cooks by then, but not 130 but good cooks. And I said, okay, we can put this together. And so I borrowed a big CTO from a friend of mine that had one propane over wood, and then we borrowed 6 more offsets. And the ones that I had 3 that I had there, 6 more we had. We had all these cookers in the back of the gas station at night. We started at 10 o'clock the night before the sale. It was a Saturday night, and everybody was supposed to pick them up on. No, it was a Saturday night, and everybody was picking them up on Sunday morning. So we had all these cookers going, and we had all these band dads coming in, and we stayed up all night. And at about 5 o'clock in the morning, here comes Channel 9 to do a live shot for their, how they do those local. I don't know if they have them in West Virginia, Steve, but down here they got those local, early shows on Sunday morning for news, and they're always looking for anything. If you can talk and chew gum, they'll put you on television. And this guy came out, and he did live shots, and we got all of those butts done. And I mean, all of them were done perfectly. Everybody working together, and we processed all those things using drills. And you seen those pullers, Ken, that you put in electric
Yeah.
drills?
Oh yeah.
We had
Mhm.
I had like 5 of those pullers. We had 7 or 8 electric drills going. We had these big buckets that Ace Hardware had given to us to put the butts in, to chop them up. We had an assembly line going on, and we sold every one of those butts by, I think it was by 11 o'clock that Sunday morning. They were gone, and I had my trailer out front, and I said, "Oh, I'm going to go in the back, and I know it's going to be a disaster back there." And fellas, I went back there, and that place looked like the barbecue cleanup elf parade came through there, spotless. All the cookers were cleaned out. There was no stuff hanging on the thing. They had pressure washed all the grates, and it was just a wonderful time. Of course, we were all really tired, but that's the most successful one that I've ever been a part of. And we did it the same thing the next year, and got up to 160 butts, and the same thing happened. It went smoothly. TV station came back, and everybody was just it just went great. So that was kind of our first big successful cook. All right, Ken, what's your biggest disappointment? Not so much failure, but something that you cooked that you were so really disappointed in.
Disappointed. I tell you what I've been disappointed at here lately. I got some failures too, but what I've been disappointed is chuck roast, man. The very first chuck roast that I cooked, I mean, it was better than any brisket that I've ever cooked.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, I've told a couple people, man, you gotta try this chuck roast. It's better than brisket. Man, I haven't got it right since. And I've probably done 10 or 12 since then, trying to get it right. And I don't know what I've done, but that's what I've been disappointed at. Is I can't figure it out, man. It's either too dry or too tough.
Do you think you may have?
Right.
Do you think you may have gotten an eye of round the first time by mistake? That maybe they mislabeled an eye round.
No, because I've been getting those under the blade chuck roasts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like an old timey kind of chuck roast.
Mm-hmm.
I've been getting that. Just tying the twine around it. But yeah, man. So I don't know. I don't know what I've done. I can't figure it out. I mean, I know the very first one I did, I injected it with just some beef broth. Not a lot, but just a little bit. And actually, it was beef consomme is what I injected it with, just a little bit. And I tried the same thing since then. Man, I don't know. I can't get the cook part right.
That's kind of weird because the first one turns out great, and then the rest you can't buy a lick.
Yeah, I mean, I've ate them, but they weren't very good.
Yeah. How about you, Steve Dotson? The biggest disappointment.
The biggest disappointment I've had, and this is going to sound terrible. I don't mean it to, but my biggest disappointment was back in 2018, we started Competition Barbecue. We did 2 competitions. One was Almost Heaven, which is right in my backyard here, first one ever. The second one, we got stupid lucky, and we drew the Jack Daniel Shade Tree. And I practiced and everything. I went down there with the mindset of, I'm going to win this thing. And they call, the organizers there are great, and they go ahead, they go, you're at the Jack. They only do prizes for, I think, the first 3, but they call out top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't hear my name called once that day. And we ended up like 12th overall. The highest category was 12th in chicken. And, it's silly, but the disappointment isn't in how I finished. I'm disappointed right now that I got to do it as my second comp, not knowing anything about competition. And now, last year, I was all poised and ready to try to go back, and we didn't get the draw. So that was the biggest disappointment that I've had. But
man, that's a pleasure pain disappointment there.
It really is. It sounds terrible when you say it out loud like that, but I mean, it is what it is. I went down there just ignorant as all get out to Competition Barbecue. I knew that I was working hard, and I thought I was in the right zone. And I mean, Truth be told, we weren't far off. But just sitting here now and going, man, if I could go back down, knowing what I know now, maybe we could do something different. So,
well, just keep getting your name in the drawing. I want to say hi to Michael Solomon. My buddy Michael Solomon's joined us from Houston, Texas. Scott Stinnett. Thanks for joining us too. Jeff is doing a great job in the chat. Jeff, I think you did help us with the second one, not the first one, but the second band cook. I believe Jeff Maxwell was there as well. You know, my biggest disappointment was Saturday, and that's what gave me the idea for this show. I was in Walmart cruising the meat, you know how we all do, and I saw beef ribs, and I said, I've never done beef ribs, and I've seen them on Instagram, seen them on Facebook, YouTube, and I said, I'm gonna buy these beef ribs, and I'm gonna feed everybody at the gas station Saturday. Have a bunch of people come over, and we'll just keep our distance, but we'll serve some barbecue and kind of get our minds off the situation. Man, I put those things on the Weber smoke fire. Set it at 285 degrees, and they started getting done really quick. So I backed it down to 240, and really slow cooked them. Put them on probably about 7 in the morning. We weren't eating until 12, and I got them up to about 165. And I wrapped them just like you would a brisket. I put the beef, the au jus in there, and wrapped it up good, and put the butter in there just like I would just doing a brisket, and I monitored them, and then I would open them up. When I found a piece of meat, I pinned them 210, pulled them off, put them in the Cambro, and everybody came, and I cut them, and they cut just like butter. I thought, man, these things, I've nailed it. And then went and tasted it, and there's hardly any meat on a beef rib. Have you tried them, Ken?
Yeah.
Steve, have you tried them?
A couple times.
Am I wrong on this? Am I wrong?
Unless you get those, I don't know where everybody gets those monster plate ribs. And from what I understand, there's something to the 3-bone sections versus the 4-bone sections. But I've seen them be, you see the Instagram pictures where they're this tall, but I've also seen them where, they're this tall and half of that's the bone. And every time I get them, I've usually got to take off about half of it because of fat cap, and then I cook it down. And I've had similar issues, I guess, with it didn't seem like it was worth the time.
It wasn't. One person would have to eat 20 of those things to get a meal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a bunch of guys, and we got the ones like that were about that big, like you said, Steve, about that long, and they came. I think they had like 5 bones in each package, and but they were tender to cut. They didn't fall off the bone. I was trying to do them like you would for like a regular cook. Maybe I should have taken them up to 225 and peeled it off and made it just fall off the bone. But I was so disappointed in that cook because I put so much time into it. Lucky they're not very expensive. They're only like $11 a pack, so you don't have a lot of money in it. But everybody I gave them to, they said these taste good, but there's no meat on them. And they looked at me like it was my fault. I said they didn't come out of me. They came out of that stupid cow. But so you both have gone through that with the beef ribs, because I'll never cook them again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've only cooked 2 sets of ribs, man, beef ribs. That's it. I just do pork now.
Well, I would, if somebody said, "Hey, let's get some beef ribs," I get those little short ones with meat on them. But I don't know what part of the cow those little short ones come off of. But man, if you said let's do beef ribs again, I said, let's do. I'll do all the brisket you want, and then we'll make them good. All right, well, that's the biggest disappointment. Okay, Ken, your biggest failure, your biggest barbecue failure, stroke disaster.
Well, and I've had, my failures are different from you guys. I'm not a competition guy. I'm a backyard. I've been doing it a long time, but I've just, for my friends and buddies and family. So mine had to do. I've had 2. I had a fire once, a grease fire, but if we have time, I'll talk about that. But it had to do with chicken wings. I started using that. If you cook on a Weber, you probably know about the Vortex. Mm-hmm. Chicken wings. And since I started using that, that's the only thing I use. And this is when I first started using it. I tell my buddies, I got 3 of my buddies that grill a lot, and they come over. I said, man, you come over and check these wings out, dude. Just get some crispy, and it takes about an hour, a little bit less. And I had, I've been watching videos, and I had all my different seasonings. I had them mixed up, and
Yeah.
and so, but the mistake I made is now I only use briquette, but I was using lump at the time. Sometime lump, sometime briquette. Well, I got down to the end of the bag, and I'm not going to say which brand it is, but I got down towards the end of the bag. I dumped that lump in there, man, and I put my little cube on there and lit it up. My buddies over there, these guys are drinking beer. They're ready for some wings. I told them how good they were. As my first mistake of bragging on it.
Yeah.
So they're in there ready for these wings, and I'm going there to finish getting them ready, and I come back out, and I look at my temperature, and man, it's only like 150 or something, 150 or 60 degrees. I'm like, what in the hell, because normally that thing's up there at 500 already.
Yeah, and a Vortex is like a turbo engine.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is it? So then I cracked the lid a little bit, and it got up to about 200, maybe a little bit more than that, and it just would not get more than that. And so I took a stick and kind of poked in there, and gave a little, gave a little air in there, and so I kept messing with it. I dumped some more charcoals on. I put some briquettes on top of that, thinking that'd work. I didn't know what in the world it was. I'd never done that. My vents were wide open, and so after like 45 minutes, man, it's still only 200 degrees. So the guys are giving me hell. They're like, Smith, you can't even build a fire, man. How you gonna cook these
You're not even a cook. You're not even a Boy Scout.
Yeah. So by that time they're supposed to have been done. And I hadn't even put them on yet because I couldn't get it hot enough. I couldn't figure it out. And so man, they're like, man, we're hungry. So I just shut both vents. We went down there and ate some Mexican food. And
did you buy?
No, I didn't buy. I probably should have, man. But they still give me a hard time about that. But come to find out what it was, the next day I went out there and looked, and I'm like, man, what was the deal? Well, I got down the end of that bag, and all the pieces of lump was small, and it got packed in there. So see, I never used lump on a Vortex before. I always used it on other stuff. Never used that lump on a Vortex. So I was going to, put a little extra taste on it, maybe. I don't know. I just poured it in there, and it got packed in there so tight that it couldn't draw any air up through there. Through the bottom.
Hey, that's why I always use Kingsford Blue Bag briquettes. I know exactly how they're going to burn. Steve Dotson, what's your epic disappointment failure? Or disaster, rather?
Right now, my epic failure is I don't grow a beard like Ken does, and that's really bringing me down. But if we're going to talk barbecue, second or third cook I ever did once I got into smoking, back when I was running off of a Weber kettle, I decided on like Memorial Day. It was either Memorial Day or Labor Day. I don't remember which end of the summer it was, but I decided I was going to smoke a turkey breast and feed people. I don't even know why I did that. I don't even like turkey, but I decided I was going to smoke a turkey breast. So, cooking it, it's looking pretty good. I didn't even have a thermometer. I was going by the thermometer that's in the turkey breast that we all know doesn't pop till like 180 if it pops at all. So I'm waiting for it to pop, and it's looking good, and finally it pops, and I take it inside, and I'm like, all right. I've done a little bit early. I didn't have a cooler set up to rest it, so it got cold. I come back in and check on it. I realized the skin has gone black on it. It was one of those numbers.
Yeah.
And all I had other than that was hot dogs to feed the kids. So kids ate hot dogs. The adults struggled through the turkey.
A bad turkey breast.
Oh, my goodness. It was, turkey's one of those things, you screw it up. It's dry and sawdust. And
yep.
Again, I don't even like turkey that much. I'm not sure why I did that, but it was terrible. It was terrible.
My epic disaster was the first thing I ever tried to cook on using the barbecue method when I first started. I went to Sam's, and like an idiot, I bought a brisket flat, thinking I could cook a brisket flat. Brought it home, put it on my little charbroil offset smoker that leaked like the Exxon Valdez. Built a fire in there. Couldn't get the fire above 200 hardly because I was afraid to put wood in it. And finally got it up to around 240. Put that brisket on there and cooked it and cooked it and cooked it. Before I put it in there, I slathered it with mustard. Can you imagine putting mustard on a brisket? And then I made up my own rub, my magic rub, because I was going to be on Barbecue Pitmasters. and I put that thing in there, and I cooked it, and of course, not knowing anything, I pulled it at about 145 degrees because that's what I pull my steaks at, right? Must be the same for a brisket. Took that thing off, put it on a plate, and tried to eat it. It was gross. I mean, it was gross. We had a dachshund then, and the dachshund wouldn't even eat it. I'm not kidding. The dog turned his nose up at that brisket.
That's rough.
Oh, that was my epic failure. Was my first cook. So, that's why I tell people, Ken, when a lot of people when they come in the store and they buy that pit barrel, they say I'm going to get a pork butt, I'm going to get a brisket. I said, get a chicken. Get a chicken. Your first thing. Go down and spend $6 at Publix on a chicken. Well, I like chicken. Yeah, get a chicken. Get 2 of them, matter of fact, and just throw them on that grate. And I said, and cook those. And I sell them. I say, here, you need this instant read thermometer. And I sell them a Butcher Barbecue instant read thermometer. I said, when that thing gets up to 165 degrees, and I know 160 is safe, but I just to play it safe, 165, take it off and eat it, and you'll be so happy with yourself. And everybody, they get the feel of it first. They get the feel on how that smoker works. So that's what I tell everybody. If they've never cooked anything, you're trying to cook something barbecue-wise, get a chicken. Because when you screw it up, it's only, if you screw both of them up, it's only $12. Where that brisket flat, I think, was probably $35 or $40. Because they always charge so much more for the flat. You can buy the whole packer at Walmart for $45, and the flat's, $52. I guess because they got to have labor in that. All right. What is on, well, Steve Dotson, we'll start with you this time. What is on your barbecue bucket list?
Well, we already touched on a little bit ago. I want to go back to the Jack and get some redemption in the shade tree. Mm-hmm. If, I'd like to do that this year, depending on what the rest of the season looks like. But also, if you're a KCBS member, you got an email earlier in the week that KCBS just restarted their World Championship event that's going to take place in conjunction with their banquet. And they've added a backyard division to that. So I'd like for this to be like the ride-out tour for the Backyard Forest to go pro next year. Mm-hmm. I'd like to hit those 2 events just to go. Because it's one of those things, professional competition barbecue is tough and it's expensive. And I always tell people I never know if I'm going to be able to be on that level once we move up. So my bucket list right now, a little short-sighted, but I'd like to hit the Jack Daniels Shade Tree and the KCBS Backyard Division Invitational.
That would be cool.
Latter part of this year. That would be cool. I think
Ken, what's on your bucket list?
Yep.
Ken, what's on your bucket list, Ken?
Well, bucket list. You remember that video I did on the trash can turkey?
Yep, I sure do.
All right. Well, I want to make like this is what I want to do, man. I want to make like a kit, almost like a pit barrel, but a trash can turkey kit where it comes with the can, the pan that goes inside it, the steak, the instructions, all that stuff. Even put the aluminum foil in there with it, a little bit. Just make it like a kit, and I want to put it in your store down there, man.
Oh, and you want to sell them? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've seen people cook on those. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I really like
it. Yeah. It's not barbecuing, but it's
Yeah.
It's I mean you cook a whole turkey, man, in an hour and a half or less, and they are so juicy, man. You inject those things and they're insane.
Oh, I love doing turkeys. I love doing turkeys now. When you figure out how to do one, smoking a turkey is the best way. Is the best way. I did a bunch of them at Thanksgiving, and I had a customer bring me one, fellas. This thing was 23 pounds. I've never seen a turkey this big. She got it at Fresh Market. It's one of those, what do they call it? It's a special turkey. It's got special lineage. Comes with
the heritage breeds?
Yeah, it comes with papers.
Yeah.
This turkey is the bomb. And I couldn't hardly. I always cook in pans, and especially when I do turkeys, I cook in pans. And I couldn't hardly. I had to break the back on the turkey to get it into under the. I was cooking them on my Myron mixing water cooker, and I had to squish it to get it to fit between the rails, the grates. And we got it in there, but man, that thing, they called me Thanksgiving afternoon and told me how good it was. So that really made me feel good. But my bucket
Yeah,
list,
wow.
what I want to do is I want to have a barbecue party in the evening and make it a formal, kind of like a formal dress affair, not tuxedos or anything, but going out evening wear. And I want to serve barbecue to people who are standing around with champagne and drinks, and kind of make it a real, get it into the evening affair instead of making it like just a regular barbecue during the day, which are fun. Don't get me wrong, I love doing that, but I want to kind of call it like barbecue elevated. And we did that here in Chattanooga with a wing contest we had down to Choo Choo, and it turned out really cool. It was kind of more of a formal affair, nice dress and everything. And those people had a ball going around eating everybody's chicken wings. And that's what I want to do here. We got a place down here in Ooltewah called Cambridge Square. I want to try to get that going in the fall when it cools down a little bit and all the events are over. I want to get an evening of barbecue and get my buddy Jeff and Frank and Dan and a couple of my other buddies that cook. Chatterbox Barbecue here, East Brainerd Choo Choo Barbecue, Sean Cosby, and my buddies, and have a bunch of us down there, just serving barbecue. We can make it a contest. But doesn't that sound like a fun time?
That's definitely a unique idea.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just sitting here going all the different plays you would have to take barbecue and make it elegant.
Yeah.
Because there'd be some funny play on how to serve a pulled pork sandwich to someone, in formal wear.
Oh, you'd have to serve it open face or on a cracker.
Yeah, serve it open face like they eat it with a fork or something.
Well, fellas, I sure appreciate your time. We're going to roll out of here. Ken, you be safe in Nashville, and thank you so much for spending time with us. Steve Dotson up in West Virginia, you do the same. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll get you on in May, and we'll talk about some more barbecue, okay?
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, fellas. I appreciate you very much.
All right. See you, Steve.
Everybody, thanks for watching and thanks for listening to everyone. We appreciate it. Hope we lightened the load a little bit for you, talking about our epic failures and disasters and our kind of our want list of things we want to do. I want to remind everybody that we're brought to you by the Backyard Smokers Barbecue Facebook page. They are the broadcast partner of the Owl's Nest Barbecue Show. Thank you, Jeffrey Neal Maxwell, for running the chat tonight. I sure appreciate that. I want to remind everybody to stay safe, stay well, and just sign off with good night and good luck.